Hello and welcome back to the Littlest PetCast. I'm your host James, and today on possibly and most likely the final episode of 2018. In today's episode, we are going to be tackling the episode Wonder Wha. So before we begin, you all know by now that I'm doing these in Netflix order. And this was the episode that got pushed down to a later, more Christmassy release date for scheduling. And it's done so because it has winter in the title. Which, I mean, it's good for marketing, but bad for continuity, as you will see later on. Although, because of this mix-up, this is the first episode to air on Discovery Family rather than the Hub Network. It's the same channel, they just changed the name. Either way, let's get started. So, it is winter in downtown city, and we see the Biskit Manor all covered in snow. But not like covered, just covered in snow, whatever, you know what I mean. So we go in and we see Fisher reading the newspaper, but the twins interrupt him and give him their holiday wish list. And Fisher's like, what is this? So the twins say that this list consists of 359 things. And Fisher says, "Is that all?" sarcastically. And the twins say that they don't want to be too greedy. Oh my goodness. So Fisher then looks into the fireplace and uses a poker to ignite the flames more, and reflects on his upbringing, saying that he only got 1 or 2 gifts for the holidays. The twins laughed and demand their first present. Fisher says that there will be no gifts for the twins until they understand the importance of giving. The twins have very little idea of what that is. And Fisher says that they should treat the less fortunate. The twins bring up that everyone is less fortunate than them, which is more or less a correct statement. I mean, I'm sure there are more affluent people, but I get it. They're technically right. So Fisher says that just one person will do. So all they have to do is help one person in need. The twins are distraught, but Whitney has a super duper idea that makes her super smart and asks Brittany who the biggest charity case they know is. And they say Blythe. Oh boy. Because I watched the episode and know where it goes, this just really is sickening. So, after the theme song, at the Littlest Pet Shop, Blythe is taking Zoe for a walk and says that maybe they can all go out later if it's not too snowy or whatever. So she leaves, and Zoe leaves, and Mrs. Twombly walks in and introduces the rest of the pets to today's day camper, Parker the penguin, all the way from Antarctica. So Mrs. Twombly says she has a sister there, but she isn't a penguin, and wonders if Parker and her sister have met. You know what? Maybe. I wouldn't mind seeing that as a little short. Maybe Mrs. Twombly's sister is doing some recon or something for a super secret spy agency. I don't know. I can believe that. And they run into Parker on one of those missions. Man, I would love to see that. Anyway, Pepper tries to quote-unquote break the ice with a joke. However, Parker is a bit too sad to appreciate it. He wants to be outside because it reminds him of home. The pets come to the conclusion that Parker is homesick, and Pepper tries another joke, and everyone else laughs at it, but Parker is still a bit sad. Pepper says that she's glad she's not playing to a whole crowd of penguins, which gives Penny an idea. So meanwhile, Blythe and Zoe are walking around town, and Blythe comments on how pleasant the city looks with all of the snow just glistening. Zoe runs into a glass door and looks at herself and says that she does look good. But it does look good, I mean. Suddenly, a car comes careening down and parks right behind Blythe in like a 180. And all of the luggage off it comes falling off. And we see it's a limo, and it's the Biskit's limo, because they appear on top of the limo, ordering their driver to pick everything up. They turn to Blythe. They say it's something, which I forgot, but they were trying to say karma, and Blythe corrects them. And then invite Blythe to their winter chateau. Man, the fact that they even call it a chateau really just, sells you on how dirty they are. Blythe refuses, saying, "Why would I want to go anywhere with you after everything you did to me?" Which is a fair statement, but the Biskits, being the Biskits, seriously do not have any idea what she's talking about and think that Blythe is making stuff up. For whatever reason, they don't see how they've been mean to Blythe. Which it's a fun trait to have in a villain. More so a fictional villain than a real one, but that's because we would have to deal with the real villain, but that's not what we're talking about at the moment. Anyway, so they order their driver out, and the driver comes out, and it looks like Francois, and Blythe asks because she thought Francois was fired, but the driver says that he is Francois too, Francois's twin brother. Blythe asks, because it's odd that Francois has a twin brother also named Francois, and Francois too says that their parents weren't very creative. So they're just Francois and Francois too. So the Biskits ask Blythe again, and Blythe just outright refuses. So they order Francois too to hurry up, and he does. Unfortunately, in the midst of pushing everything into the back of the limo, Francois too pushes Blythe and Zoe in, and they ride along. So back at the pet shop, everyone else is putting on tuxedos in an attempt to cheer Parker up. So the plan is that they're all going to act like penguins, and Russell thanks Blythe for her formal wear collection. So, as an aside, even though the reason is a tad silly, because, penguins look like they're wearing tuxedos, whatever, I do appreciate a good everyone in suits moment. I want more of that. And I mean everyone in suits. Not formal wear, where only the guys are in suits and the girls wear elegant dresses. While I do appreciate a good elegant dress, there's a lot of that, but there's not as much everyone in suits. boys in suits and girls in suits. Everyone in suits. I want that. Give me that. Everyone in suits, okay? Okay, this has been a message brought to you by the Everyone in Suits Foundation. I would donate to that so hard. Anyway, so they go back to the play area and act like penguins to cheer Parker up. Parker is cheered up for a brief moment, but then gets even more homesick and literally cries snow. Is Parker like Iceman or a waterbender? If waterbenders can do that. I really need to see Avatar all the way through. I have the box set. I just need to find time to put it on. I don't know, maybe I can find some time like next year or something. I don't know. There's only like not even a day and a half left in the year. I'm not gonna like just marathon that. I have other stuff I want to do. But it is something I do want to get around to. But either way, this is the second time this season, or maybe third time, or something. I don't know. This is just another instance of me accusing someone of being a mutant, and oh, I love it. Either way, Pepper tries some more humor, but Parker recluses himself more, and Pepper takes it as a win because he stopped crying. The pets think that Blythe will return soon, and that means they get to go outside, which might cheer Parker up. So, they go to the window and winter wonder, if you will, where Blythe is. So, the limo arrives at the chateau, and the twins get out saying that they need to sit down because being in a limo is exhausting. I know this is supposed to be a joke, but like sitting in a car is a bit exhausting, at least for me. Because it's very cramped and I can't move, and you know, I like being able to move is something I kind of like about relaxing. But I mean, then again, they are in a limo, which has the benefit of legroom, but so maybe they are just being lazy and just want everything on a silver plate or something. So they ask Francois too to unpack, and he pushes a button, which like there's a springboard in the back that launches the luggage out, and Blythe and Zoe as well. And Zoe sees the chateau and likes it. The Biskits approach and greet Blythe and Pet. I knew you wanted to join us. Blythe explains what happened and says like she really didn't, and asks if they heard the banging on the window. The twins are like, that was you? I thought it was like a limo ghost or something. So Blythe begins to call her dad to come pick her up, but her phone dies, and she asks if she can use the landline. The twins laugh and say, how 2005? They agree to let her use it if they have one, while Francois too drags in all of the luggage. So if the chateau is as far north as it seems, they probably should have a landline because I'm not sure how good the cell service is up there. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if they had like a telegraph machine in there still. So in the chateau, Blythe is on like a 50s phone, which, you know what, I would not be surprised if the Biskits thought that was from 2005, because it's that. And she's talking with Roger, and she wants to get picked up. But the Biskits offer up hot cocoa and slippers for her icky feet, but then they correct themselves to say achy feet. So they leave, and Zoe says that maybe they should stay, saying that it is the season for giving, and Blythe is like for giving them a second chance to be good, to redeem themselves. And Blythe decides to take Zoe and the Biskits up on that. So she tells Roger that she wants to stay for a bit and tells him to tell Mrs. Twombly about what's going on. So at the shop, Roger is relaying the information to Mrs. Twombly, and she relays it to the pets during treat time. They are all shocked, but the pets are more sad because they won't be able to go outside, which Parker isn't going to like. Parker sits back and is still sad. Vinny says that they can't hail a cab and have him drive to Antarctica, and Russell agrees with that, but Russell has the next best thing as he adds the thermostat. So at the chateau, Blythe thanks Zoe for convincing her to stay, and that has been relatively okay so far. But the twins laugh at her talking to Zoe, and they comment on how that's what happens when you grow up like Blythe. Blythe says that she can hear them. So, again, if they were that close, why is Blythe so open about talking to Zoe like she's a person? Which she kind of... That's weird. The terminology for talking to pets as people is odd. But maybe Blythe thinks that the Biskits are too dumb to figure it out. But there's another explanation I will offer up later, when the evidence presents itself. Either way, the Biskits then say that it's time for pedicures and order out the spa robot Robotella to do some pampering. So maybe the chateau does have good Wi-Fi because the robot would need to connect to stay updated, and it would have to have a pretty decent power source for a robot to charge, you know. This chateau is weird, to say the least. Like, it should be far away, but like, the events of the episode take place in the course of one day. And, like, it should take a while for them to drive up to the chateau, but it isn't. If they're in, like, the New York City area, like, there shouldn't be a good mountain for this for a while. Like, it's a bit confusing, is what I'm saying. But like they're able to make it there relatively easily. I don't know, it's all confusing, but I mean, I also have an answer for that also later. But for right now, Robotella gives everyone a pedicure and Blythe is amazed. And the Biskits ask, "You don't have your own spa robot?" And Blythe is like, "No." And the Biskits just like are like, "Oh, Blythe, we know how hard it is on you." And Blythe informs them that just because she doesn't have a spa robot doesn't mean she has like harsh living conditions. But Whitney says that she's probably crazy from hunger and gives her the cucumbers that were just on Zoe, saying that they were grown from solid gold seeds and harvested by a team of unicorns. Brittany says that they are giving in more ways than just that, and the twins escort Blythe elsewhere. They first go to the dining hall and present Blythe with cold pizza, saying it's the most expensive meal she'll ever eat. And Blythe points out that it's just cold pizza, but the Biskits aren't just being mean here, because this is apparently pizza from space. And it was delivered from space to their mountain. How does that work? I mean, all of that will be answered soon enough. Right, that's why I'm saving that. So then they get into the hot tub, and I guess they had to... No, I don't guess. They had to have had a spare swimsuit, because they buy all of their clothes and only wear them once. And Like, they pick out one of the thousands of swimsuits that I haven't worn and just give them to Blythe. And then just discard the one that goes with it because they're twins and they buy matching stuff. Or maybe it was like a leftover from when, like, the Biskit successfully manipulated Blythe. Maybe they're like, we're saving this until Blythe becomes our real friend. Oh God, like, they would do that too. They are that self-absorbed and that needy that, like they know Blythe will come around on them eventually. And that when she does, like, they'll have everything ready for her. And, oh God, I love this. So yeah, they get in the hot tub and they ask, I bet you haven't been in the Relaxinator 9000 before. Blythe says that she's been in a hot tub, but then it pans out and it's an Olympic-sized hot tub, which, I mean, I can and cannot see the arguments for that. It's interesting in its own right, but I don't know, like, if you had an Olympic-sized hot tub, like, a lot of people would want to be in it, but, well, again, we're gonna get to it. So we're gonna get to, like, rich people are awful station. It does not have the same ring as casual racism. So they then go into a bedroom and present Blythe with a bed. Blythe says she sleeps in one every night. But the Biskits point out that this bed is made with swan feathers and clouds to engineer you to relaxation. And, like they push Blythe onto the bed and it is kind of relaxing, but it's a bit weird how the Biskits have been treating her. So, back at the pet shop, they've dropped the temperature inside to below freezing or freezing, and everyone else is shivering, but they are happy with their plan. And Vinny's the most wrapped up because he is cold-blooded and his tail falls off even because it's exposed. And, you know, being in the cold would probably kill him. But Parker is happy and he does some flips. Pepper tells another joke, and I remember it this time because it plays into a few seconds from now. So, the joke is, what do penguins like for lunch? Icebergers. And then Parker gets sad again, and Penny says that was actually a pretty good joke. So why are you upset? Parker explains that Pepper's joke reminds him of something that would make it even more homely for him. Or homey for him, I guess. Homely and home, English is dumb. English is super dumb. But Pepper says to herself, please say burgers, please say burgers. But Parker says ice. The pets look at Pepper and say, like, way to go. So the Biskits are in their room and they are complimenting each other on their ski outfits. Brittany says that they don't know how to ski, and Whitney says that they'll just watch Blythe tumble down and just ride the lift back down. So, meanwhile, Blythe and Zoe are also gearing up for skiing. Blythe is concerned about the Biskits' intentions, but Zoe says they're probably good. And Blythe says, like, I mean, they seem to be, but they're just backhanding everything. And it's just weird, but, you know, whatever. So they go off to ski, but Zoe trips in front of the Biskits' room. And then here's what they're talking about. They call Black a charity case, and they are just waiting for their dad to show up to shower them with presents and give Blythe the boot. And Zoe realizes Blythe was right. So, back at the pet shop, it is now completely frozen over, and Russell is getting the last of the water out of a hose, and Parker says that, like, he wants to go out on the ice, but Russell says it takes a bit. But Parker says that it looks frozen enough, and Vinny confirms it because his tongue is sticking to it. Without thinking, Sunil goes out to save his boyfriend, but slips around a bit, but he eventually gets up to Vinny, and he tries ripping it off, but ice and tongue connections are strong, so they just end up slipping around in the circle with the tongue being the focal point, but eventually the tongue breaks loose, and they crash, and they get tied up together in Vinny's tongue, which is a little more suggestive than just watching it. It's not at all suggestive when you're watching it, but like, you know, saying it out loud is a different thing. Either way, so Blythe and the Biskits and Francois too are at the lift, and Blythe thinks that they've caught a break being the only people at the lift. But the Biskits say, what is the point of owning your own mountain if you have to wait for the ski lift? First off, what is the point of having a ski lift if you own the entire mountain? Like a ski lift with multiple chairs. Like, I can understand like one chair or two chairs maybe. But, like, especially if you're not usually bringing people here, and doubly so if you don't know how to ski. Like, what's the point of having a complex system if you barely use it? Second off, how do you own the mountain? So here's my theory on this mountain's oddities. This is a built mountain. Like it's a man-made mountain. That's why it takes a short time between here and there, and how all of this can happen in one day, because they can just drive to it, like, you know, 30 minutes, an hour maybe, with no problem at all. And like, it wasn't there historically, which is why, like, it wouldn't, like, impact New York's growth as a city, and then the eventual dissolution of it between the three other cities that wanted to be a city. But even then, like, it just, all it does is just point out how awful these rich people are, because, like, if they have all of this land to make their own mountain, why not, like, make something useful, like land for farming or something? Like, or just, I don't know, but, like, it would also, like, answer the question of how good the Wi-Fi is, and, like, it also answers the question of why there's just a landline there too, and a robot, because, like, it's stylized to be an actual rustic cabin, but it's inauthentic in every way, much like the Biskits themselves. And because it's their environment, they love it. And I guess it's authentic enough to be enjoyable, but when you have to take it with the Biskits, it's just dumb. So Zoe comes out and barks at the Biskits, and the Biskits call her a dingo and ask Francois too to take her away. So Francois picks her up, puts her on the lift, and Blythe and the Biskits go on the lift, and Blythe defends Zoe from this name calling, but Zoe keeps barking, and Blythe asks Zoe to calm down. So the Biskits think that being able to talk to animals is her own made-up superpower, and they can't wait to tell everyone. And I know what you're thinking. They have superpowers, don't they, James? At least that's what you told us. And I did. So here's the thing with that. Maybe they think that only rich people can have superpowers. Like, it makes sense. Like, when they think about it that way, like, they're too blind by their own riches to see that maybe other people are superpowered. And like it makes sense for their character too, because like they're just horrible rich people. And like what's more horrible than believing that like superpowers are only for this exclusive group of people? I mean, in a sense they are, because like in a lot of superhero fiction, a lot of people don't have superpowers. But like it also the determining factor of like who gets superpowers like is money to them, but it's just random chance in most universes, and I guess it is random chance in this universe as well, and they just don't realize it, which makes sense for them. So back at the pet shop, with everything being icy, Parker is ready to get going, but Mrs. Trombley senses that something is wrong. She sees the day camp being frozen over from the inside. Mrs. Trombley walks in and slips on the ice. But she's tough and doesn't need to go to the hospital, but instead sees that the thermostat is at 0 degrees. I'm assuming Fahrenheit in this instance, because while 0 Celsius is freezing, like putting it at 0 Fahrenheit would freeze it faster, I'd imagine. I think. Anyway, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know like if like the amount of cold like accelerates the rate of freezing. If you are a scientist and know this information, please tell me. I would be interested to know. Anyway, so Mrs. Trombley turns up the thermostat and like everything melts instantly. Like it's instant, because like when Parker like is getting ready to jump and slip on the ice, because he's a penguin and he can do that safely, it turns into a puddle like instantly. And I wouldn't mind having a thermostat like that, but I bet it would take up a lot of energy. And I mean, until we get a good source of clean energy like actually instituted, like, because we have a good source of clean energy, but we just don't institute it. I don't know. Either way, Mrs. Trombley has like a machine to sort out the dampness that this has created. I forgot the name of it, but she has it. And the pets apologize to Parker, but Parker says that he's not homesick anymore because he realizes that home doesn't have to be a place. It can be like a group of people who care about you enough to do stuff for you. And like throughout all of this, like Parker realizes that they're his friends. And, you know, they all have a moment. And then Parker gives out a joke. He says, what do you call it when a penguin smiles? A pengrin? And everyone laughs and he and Pepper high five. So back at the chateau at the top of the fake mountain, Blythe goes to see what Zoe's barking about. So they get away far enough where Zoe can actually talk to Blythe. And Zoe explains what she heard the Biskits talking about. And Blythe says she knew it and goes to confront them, but before she can, the Biskits offer her the opportunity to ski down the mountain like they do, on Francois 2's back. And Francois 2 prepares himself for it, but Blythe just explodes on the Biskits, saying that like she knows how to ski and that she doesn't need all of the accommodations they have, and that she knows that they're using her. And the Biskits get mean again and saying that they're just waiting for their dad to arrive to show that we can be nice. But then Francois, too, takes off his mask and reveals himself to be Fisher Biskit, saying, "I'm already here." And oh, I love that it's like this. It's so amazing. So the twins are surprised, and Whitney says, "Ruh-roh," before the twins just start falling on the mountain on their skis with no control. Fisher calls out to them, and Blythe loads Zoe up in her coat and skis down. Zoe asks what she's doing, and Blythe says she's saving the biscuits. Did I really say that? So Blythe races to the free-falling biscuits, and they take some slopes. There's a route, and then they go into a cave. And then when they get out of the cave, Blythe notices that she's ahead of the biscuits, and they are heading for like a cliffside. Like, this is how rich people would design it, because like they would design it so that they could turn and just see this grand design, like a real honest to goodness legit ski thing shouldn't have like just an exposed cliff on one of its routes. So like Blythe extends her ski poles to the biscuits, and they grab on and they swing around over the cliff back onto the land, and then they take the rest of the route down to the bottom of the mountain, and Fisher, who is following behind, comes back and thanks Blythe for saving his girls. So, after all of that, the twins pop up and try to play it off like they knew the whole time, and they just kept it up because it was such a mean trick that you would do this to us, Daddy. But Blythe points out that by wasting time on her, they lost the opportunity to help someone who actually needed it. Fisher agrees with that, and he knows just the person. He rings the little bell, and Francois shows up. Fisher explains that he has hired back Francois at double the salary, and if the twins can be nice to him, maybe they will get 1 or 2 presents. The twins are upset, but they go along with it. Francois offers to drive Blythe home. Blythe accepts. And later that day, which is sort of why I said that this has to be man-made, because like you can't spend that much time on like a mountain that takes like hours to get to and hours to get back from and still have it be the same day. So it has to be just like a created mountain. Like a created recreational fake mountain. So so they're back in downtown city, and the pets and Blythe and Parker are at an ice rink, and Parker is just living it up. So then Blythe asks them to form a chain, and they form a chain, and Vinny is at the end, and Sunil grabs Vinny's tongue, which has a bandage on it, and Vinny's like, "Whoa!" And then he gets thrown into a snowbank on accident, and everyone laughs. Because Vinny's alright, I guess. He's not too damaged. So Blythe takes a picture of all of them and then sends a text. Meanwhile, at the chateau, the biscuits are being pampered by Robotella again, and they receive the text from Blythe with the picture and the words being, "This is what the season is all about." The biscuits, not learning anything, just asks how she got this number. So that ends the episode. So this is kind of why I say Netflix order is the true order. Because like it has a bit of continuity from season 2, and it's the first bit of like continuity that we get. Like like, we assume that everything has happened up to that point, but, like, with the confirmation this episode provides, with, like, the rehiring of Francois, like, I just say that this is the actual order you should be watching this in. Like it's mostly fine, I guess, if you want to watch it in air date order, but, I mean, this is the order I learned, and it's the order that makes sense. But what I will say about this episode, aside from that, is that it was fun for the most part. It was like, it's fun to see how ridiculous rich people are, because like they build their own mountains. They have pizza from space. This is like a child's imagination of what rich people life should be like. Like, they have pizza from space. They have super comfortable beds, Olympic sized hot tubs, like their own mountain with like a robot at the mountain on top of the robots they have. Like it's so funny to see how like crazy rich these jerks are. And like the thing with like Parker is like a sweet story and all. I think they maybe should have expanded on it a little bit. Like I said, maybe this should be like an hour-long show so that we can get more of this and more ridiculous rich people fare. But like I don't think it's worse for it being this short. I just think like having more would be a bit better. I don't know, it's weird. Like just seeing how terrible the Biskits are is so amazing sometimes. Like, it just is. So anyway, that should wrap it up for this episode of the Littlest PetCast. Be sure to leave your comments and reviews on Shout Engine, on Apple Podcast, on the Google Play Store, and wherever else you find RSS feeds. When they're slammed into the back of a trunk heading to a fake mountain owned by fake people. And be sure to tune in to the next episode, Sleeper. I will see you then, and I will see you next year. By the way, I think it says a lot about this show that I did not question the existence of Francois too. Like, it just makes sense that there would be a Francois too in this show, because that's sort of what I'm expecting. Like it just makes sense for this show. Like, if it was any other show, my eyebrow would be raised, but it just makes sense here. Even though it turned out to be untrue, it just makes sense.